One of the titans of the industry has just dropped a bombshell on the business world, and we're going to dig right in. Ford, one of the biggest names in the car business, has hit the brakes on a $3.5 billion project that's making headlines across the nation. It's been a few intense days of the UAW strike against the Detroit 3 automakers. Join us to know more about the latest developments. The pause button. Ford's decision to halt construction. What's the deal then? The narrative starts in February 2023, when Jim Farley, CEO of Ford, a name well recognized in the automobile industry, and Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, came to public attention. Together, they revealed a bold plan with the potential to revolutionize the automobile business in Michigan. What brought to this unexpected halt? The bottom line is that Ford is worried about keeping the facility running effectively and competitively as contract talks with the United Auto Workers Union, UAW, continue. This choice, however, did not emerge in a vacuum. It was a radical new direction, an idea for expansion and creativity that broke with the past. It's been months of heated debate and opposition, and now it's come to this. State and municipal governments in Michigan banded together and pledged an unprecedented $1.7 billion in public subsidies to make this dream a reality. Ford has had to work its way through a tangled web of problems, including contentious debates with neighbors over the plant's site and political squabbling over the use of lithium iron phosphate, LFP battery technology developed by China's CATL. Let's not lose sight of the bigger picture either. The car sector strike is well into its second week now. It seemed like a perfect situation, a roadmap to a better, more successful future. However, as we have seen, there are often unanticipated obstacles in the way of innovation in the automobile sector, and the route to success may be strewn with unexpected turns. It seemed like a win-win situation, boosting the local economy and Ford's EV ambitions. But now it's hitting a rough patch. T.R. Reid, a spokeswoman for Ford, said, "We're pausing work and limiting spending on construction at Marshall until we're confident about our ability to competitively run the plant. This decision will have far-reaching effects for Ford, the UAW, and the auto industry as a whole. But I guarantee you, there is more to this narrative that will be revealed." The political landscape, Biden, Trump, and union reaction timing, as they say, plays a pivotal role in the unfolding drama. Ford chose to make this announcement with impeccable timing, just before President Joe Biden's planned visit to Michigan on September 26th. The Michigan assembly plant of Ford, the site of a protracted worker strike, is now the center of attention. The situation is predicted to worsen further since Vice President Biden intends to speak to the striking UAW, United Auto Workers during his visit. Former President Donald Trump has joined the dispute and organized a town hall-style event in Macomb County in an effort to change the opinions of auto employees, adding gasoline to the fire. As is to be expected, emotions are running high in this continuing labor conflict. President of the United Auto Workers, Shawn Fain, did not hold back when he called Ford's action a shameful, barely veiled threat by Ford to cut jobs. There's a tangible sense of tension and anger around the issue, which breeds uncertainty and discontent. Transitioning to the political sphere, we see that several Republicans are opposed to Ford's proposed Michigan battery plant. Their main worry is that Ford would become more reliant on Chinese technology as a result of the plant's activities unintentionally sending tax subsidies from the United States to China. Republican leader and head of the House China Committee Mike Gallagher was blunt. Now, Ford needs to call off this deal for good. These are words of power and resonance, reverberating over the changing terrain of political maneuver. Unifor's deal with Ford, a benchmark for the U.S. A major event that has occurred just north of the border in Canada is the agreement that Unifor and Ford signed, which is having an impact on the car sector. The consequences of this arrangement, which is the first significant transaction since the contracts for auto workers in Canada and the United States expired, are being keenly monitored on both sides of the border. Significant pay increases, large investments in manufacturing facilities, and steps to improve worker job security are what define the Unifor-Ford agreement. These clauses have drawn attention due to their direct effects on the automotive workers in Canada, as well as the possible influence they may have on future talks in the U.S. This development demonstrates how the automobile sector in North America is intertwined, with choices taken in one nation having an impact on the whole continent. Experts in the field are keeping a careful eye on this agreement because it has the potential to establish a precedent and put pressure on the United Auto Workers, UAW, in the U.S. to reach a reasonable settlement that is acceptable to manufacturers. The Unifor Ford agreement has added a new aspect to the complicated labor negotiation dynamics in the automobile industry, raising concerns about potential effects on the negotiating positions of different parties. Wedbush Securities Managing Director Daniel Ives is one well-known participant in this conversation. Ives thinks that the Unifor Ford agreement has successfully increased the bar for discussions, and U.S. automakers may now use it as a model for their own worker contracts. This may result in automakers seeking uniformity in their interactions with unions on both sides of the border, which might lead to a more coordinated approach to labor talks across North America. All things considered, the Unifor Ford agreement marks a turning point in the continuous history of labor disputes in the car sector in North America. Its effects are international, affecting both American manufacturers and the UAW. It is impossible to overstate the importance of this agreement in determining how labor relations will develop going forward, given how quickly the sector is changing. Impact on auto workers: a mix of hope and concern. The auto workers' voices are becoming more and more prominent in the current labor issue as the strike continues. Regarding the Unifor Ford agreement, there are differing views among UAW members. Some see it as a landmark success. Team leader Bianca Garland of the Warren Truck Assembly Plant is one of the people who thinks the Unifor Ford agreement is a good thing. She believes that Ford's deal with Unifor helps auto workers in Canada and sets a new standard for labor discussions in the sector. Future discussions on both sides of the border may be influenced by this agreement, which is considered as a potential blueprint that sets a bar for competitive pay, plant investments, and job security measures. Even while the Unifor Ford deal has generated favorable feelings, it is important to understand that job security is still a major issue for a large number of UAW members. The possibility of factory closures in the near future has made the workforce unsure. In light of changing industry dynamics, auto workers are keenly aware of the need to protect both their livelihoods and the future of their communities. These differences in UAW viewpoints highlight the subtleties and complexity of labor issues in the automobile industry as the strike and discussions go forward. Some have welcomed the Unifor Ford Pact as a success, but it really only serves as a point of reference that may influence how future talks go. Nonetheless, the primary concern of job security continues to be a major source of disagreement, indicating the significant influence these discussions have on the lives and welfare of auto workers and their communities. Ford's advantage: the most successful of the three. Ford seems to be strategically positioned in the complex dance of labor talks in the automobile sector, benefiting from a unique advantage resulting from the Unifor Ford agreement in Canada and the continuing discussions in the United States. Experienced management professor Merrick Masters has offered insightful explanations of the dynamics involved. According to him, Ford has been the car maker with the greatest success so far, and this accomplishment gives them some leeway in determining the parameters of these talks. This labor issue has an interesting twist due to the difficulty of bargaining with all three major manufacturers at the same time. In these conversations, the interaction of each company's distinct difficulties and goals generates a dynamic and fluid terrain. This situation not only puts the labor unions to the test, but also highlights the complex web of connections that exist between employees, automakers, and their local communities. Aware that the choices made at these crucial junctures have the power to drastically alter the automotive landscape and the future of the workforce in this vital sector, the industry, observers, and stakeholders will be closely watching Ford's actions and the final results as the negotiations continue. UAW's stand demanding more. It is clear from the loud and persistent resolve of the UAW membership that they will keep negotiating in order to get a better deal. One striking illustration of this commitment is provided by United Auto Workers, UAW employee Michael Brandy-Marty. He is certain that the Ford-mediated accord does not adequately represent what UAW members really deserve. For many like Brandy Marty, the problem is about more than just making a compromise. It's about setting a gold standard that supports the goals and means of subsistence of the working class. In the context of these continuing strikes, which reverberate like seismic waves across the automobile industry, pressure is growing from a number of directions. The potential impact of this labor crisis on the whole economy has not gone undetected, nor has it diminished in severity. As a result, legislators from all across the country are becoming involved in the debate because they understand how important it is that they find a solution. It's impossible to imagine a bigger stakes game of high-stakes poker. For auto workers, whose jobs are at risk, the future is still unclear. Concurrently, the course of the automobile sector as a whole, a pillar of the U.S. economy, is in jeopardy. These labor negotiations have an impact well beyond the negotiating table, influencing the dynamically altering nature of labor relations in the United States. At this critical point in labor history, the country is intently monitoring the conversations as they take place, realizing that the results will have an impact on many aspects of American life. In addition to protecting the interests of auto workers, a resolution that steers the automotive sector toward long-term stability and development and promotes fair labor relations is hoped for. The focus of these labor discussions continues to be on the complicated interplay between labor dynamics in the United States, economic imperatives, and worker ambitions. As the negotiations go on, the country looks forward to a solution that can successfully negotiate these complex issues and demonstrate the flexibility and resiliency of the American labor force. Jim Farley's statement about the UAW proposal. The CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, recently released a statement expressing grave worries about the proposal made by the United Auto Workers, UAW union, highlighting the fact that it might possibly drive the business into bankruptcy. Farley spoke with CNBC on the UAW's plan, which includes pay increases of up to 40%, shorter work weeks, and expanded pension benefits. He was blunt in his assessment that the company's financial stability would be jeopardized if this idea were implemented. "You want us to choose bankruptcy over supporting our workers." The fact that Ford has not received a counteroffer from the UAW was stressed by Farley, and he noted that discussions are currently not taking place. With no movement on the problem, Farley said, "Nothing is going on." The seriousness of the problem was emphasized by a hypothetical scenario that Farley outlined. He speculated that the corporation would have lost $15 billion in year revenue instead of $30 billion over 4 years without the UAW's plan in place, which would have led to bankruptcy. Farley's words, in essence, underscore the essential aspect of the upcoming Ford UAW discussions, as the conclusion has enormous ramifications for both the company's financial viability and its workers. And before we sign off, here's a question for you. How do you think this decision will impact the future of Ford and the electric vehicle landscape? Comment down below.